Hey guys, it's Diana. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about episode 11 of In the Dark. First off, before we begin, I want to apologize for how late this video is. At the time of me recording it, and I'm planning to get it up tonight, it is Wednesday, and the new episode of In the Dark is tomorrow night, episode 12. I've been so busy this past weekend. We had company and there was a lot going on, so I wasn't able to film. Also, with these review videos, so some of you, if you don't follow me on Twitter, I will link my Twitter down in the description, but I had posted that I got a copyright claim on my last video because they claimed like a few seconds of the footage that I used from the episode, and so I'm a little concerned, as you might expect. Going forward, when I do these reaction and review videos, it's just going to be me talking about the episode. I'm not going to include any footage. I apologize. I know that's going to be probably a lot more boring than what I had been doing in the past, but I'm just very wary and I don't want to have any strikes against my channel. I know that a claim is different than a strike, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. I hope you understand. Anyway, this episode, it is called I Woke Up Like This, and we literally start off like the next morning after Murphy heard the gunshots. She's in the boat. She's with Pretzel, and the boat hits the river bank, and Pretzel wakes up and starts licking Murphy's face to wake her up, and she wakes up, she's a little disoriented, and she ends up having a flashback to her and Tyson talking about her being lonely, where she says that she feels a lot more lonely when she's with others, as like opposed to being by herself, because I think it's to do with because of her blindness, she feels like she has trouble sometimes in certain social situations, like maybe if there's a big group or something, where she just feels like she's being ignored, probably. I don't know. They don't go into it. It was just like a little tiny flashback, and then she wakes up, she realizes she's in the river, or in the boat. She screams for help. She eventually realizes that they are in the mud and it's fine for her to get out of the boat. So she gets out and her shoe gets stuck in the mud. Following this, we see her traverse through the woods with Pretzel. There's snow on the ground. It's very cold. And, you know, she only has one shoe. She's obviously very cold. She's not having a good time. They stop for a few minutes. She ends up having a nice little chit-chat with Pretzel about why he signed up to be a guide dog when he could be just chasing squirrels and licking his butt the whole time instead of working for her, which I thought was very cute. She also gives him permission to eat her if things go terribly wrong and they end up being lost in the woods forever, which was kind of morbid. But so they stop. She has to use the restroom. They end up doing this in a hunting zone. Like, she finds a sign that she assumes means they're near a road. Not being able to read the sign, obviously, because there's no braille on it. And remember, she doesn't have her phone because Max threw her phone out the window of his food truck in the last episode to have them, you know, off the trail. They end up in the hunting zone and she hears gunshots, not knowing that it's hunters, and, you know, not knowing that she has to be wearing an orange vest at all times to be visible because it's a hunting zone. So she runs with Pretzel. She ends up falling and tumbling down a hill. Pretzel is fine. He's doing very well for a probably confused and scared little pup. And he ends up just, you know, licking her. She's okay. They come to a trail and there are some cars passing them by, and she tries to flag them down with no success. Eventually, a school bus passes, and they pick her up, and it is for a Catholic school, an all-girls Catholic school, it looks like, a very small school, and they're all singing on the bus about God and Jesus, and one of the girls asks Murphy if she likes to sing, and she just doesn't respond. The whole thing with Murphy falling down the hill honestly could have been completely avoided if she had listened to Pretzel, because he was not going forward when she told him to. Again, this is a common theme throughout this entire show, is that she does not listen to her dog, but, you know, she was eventually able to get back to town, and she was okay. So the subplot in this episode is revolving around Felix, and he's having a little bit of an issue here. The family lawyer, or financial advisor, I'm not quite sure what the guy is, he is at Guiding Hope because Felix, even though he does have a trust fund, he is not really able to access the money without his parents okay, which I think is kind of weird because, like, he's a grown adult. I don't know how trust funds work. I don't have one. But so this guy wants to make sure that the business is running smoothly and that Felix made a good decision before he can actually go ahead and give him the money, and, you know, Felix can actually officially own Guiding Hope. Poor guy just can't catch a break this week. So we find out Murphy is in the veterinary office in Guiding Hope talking to Jess, and Jess says that Pretzel did have a lacerated paw, but he's going to be okay. She's bandaging him up and he's fine. Other than that, like, you know, that he and Murphy are fine. They weren't hurt. Felix does say that Max called Guiding Hope from an unknown number earlier in the day to tell Felix that Murphy should not go looking for him and that he is alive and he's okay. And, you know, Felix is obviously very pissed about this because he's trying to impress this guy who's shadowing him. Meanwhile, we cut to the police station where we learn that Jules has been put on desk duty, and she's also having an internal investigation done on her for the whole, how she kind of, like, you know, busted Sarah's bust that they were doing 2 episodes ago, and she arrested Darnell and everything. And the good thing is that she wasn't fired, but she's kind of screwed here because she was also taken off of Tyson's case. We also find out that Sarah Barnes is talking to, I believe Dean at the police station, tells him that Max needs to come home because they need to be able to protect him due to the whole Nia thing. Because if he doesn't come home and he can't be, you know, their witness, Nia is going to walk free because her trial is that day, I think. And I don't understand, like, why they need him, really. I mean, I guess obviously to testify, I would assume, but I don't know. Obviously that's not going to happen because Max is missing at this point. Nobody knows where he is. However, Jess does track down the number that Max called from by doing a little Google search and looking through the call logs at Guiding Hope, and finds out that he did call from the home of his ex-girlfriend who lives about 2 hours away from Chicago. So she and Murphy get into the Guiding Hope van and speed off towards this destination. Jess has a panic attack the whole time because she hasn't driven since she accidentally ran over Wesley. Her car was not even at work, which is why they took the Guiding Hope van, which puts Felix in a very difficult position because he has to go to the breeders to pick up the puppies to be brought back to the training center, and the only way that he can do that is in the Chevy, which is a little car and it has no crates, and it is very inappropriate for puppies to be transported. We cut back to the police station. We're with Dean and Jules, and Dean tells her that they are going to prosecute Darnell for Tyson's murder. Jules kind of pulls him aside into a separate private area and tells him the whole entire thing that happened, and that she and Darnell have known each other since they were about 14, and they've been together as a couple for pretty much like most of that time span. And she's obviously very upset because she knows that that Darnell didn't kill Tyson because he was with her that night. However, she obviously couldn't say anything because she's the detective, and that would have meant divulging her relationship with Darnell, who's, you know, a drug dealer. So Dean ends up comforting her and saying that he will do whatever he can to clear Darnell's name because he is obviously still on the Tyson case. When one of the other forensics or somebody tells Jules to go into the evidence locker and get some evidence from the Tyson case, she ends up finding some things, and they're kind of suspicious. I believe one of them is dental floss that really tips her off, along with some dog hair and something else. I don't know. She does end up calling in one of the lab techs or somebody and talks to them about the dental floss, and I don't really know what else happens. She looks at footage of Darnell, I think, in his jail cell, going back through the security footage, and he does something. I don't know what it is because I couldn't really see it and I wasn't watching the show with descriptive audio, but something kind of tips her off and she, has an epiphany, basically. Meanwhile, we're at the ex-girlfriend's house. Her name is Jenny. She does let Jess and Murphy into her home and she offers them some food and drinks, and they chit-chat about Max, and she says that Murphy showing up about Max trying to quote-unquote clean up his mess is par for the course, and she also ends up divulging a little bit of information about Max's childhood that Murphy didn't know about, such as his mom being an addict. I guess Max was one of the only people in the family who had tried to fix it, and everybody else was just drinking and drinking until it affected his mother so poorly that she drank herself to death, basically. And obviously Murphy didn't know because Max never told her. However, she goes along in this instance pretending that she did know because she doesn't want to look like an idiot in front of this ex-girlfriend. Meanwhile, Jenny does say that she can understand why Murphy and Max were a thing, because Murphy is an addict and Max is trying to fix her. And the concept of Murphy being an addict does come up a little later in the episode. However, we're not referring to being an addict in the term of her being an alcoholic. It's a completely different scenario that ends up with her and Jess basically getting into a fight. So we cut back to the police station very briefly. Jules has apologized to Sarah for her interruption into the whole interrogation and drug bust thing that happened a couple of episodes ago, but she does think that someone's framing Darnell because of the suspicious evidence that she had found. A little later on, Jules does go to two of the accomplices that are working with Darnell or something. One of them is friends with Tyson. I believe he was one of the kids that was brought in to testify, to be questioned about Tyson's murder. He was like the kid that was brought in with Darnell, I think. And they both say to her like how Wesley found the gun that he had on him, because he did have a gun, and we now think that he was the one to shoot Darnell, or to shoot Tyson. I can't get any of these people's names right. Basically, she finds out that Wesley found the gun under the dumpster, and that one of the guys that she's talking to was there when he found it. And so that obviously means that Wesley couldn't have been the one to kill Tyson with the gun, because it was found after Tyson had already been dead. So, obviously that opens up a whole new can of worms in this investigation, but Jules can't do anything from her end. She can only tell Dean because she's not on the case anymore. Meanwhile, we cut back to Jess and Murphy. And after Felix had an absolutely terrible day with the lawyer, financial advisor, whatever he is, he calls and tells Murphy that he has been completely cut off from his assets and that Guiding Hope is no more and that they are all screwed. And he also tells her that she stole the van, which comes into play a little bit here because the police end up showing up at the bar that Jess and Murphy are at 2 hours outside of Chicago, and they arrest them for having the stolen van. Max does show up at the bar. He and Murphy hug. They have a conversation in the van where Jess, is sitting in the bar inside. It's kind of emotional, obviously, because, they realize they're never going to be able to see each other again. Max can't go home and go into witness protection because then he'll be cut off from her anyway. All he can do is just run and hide the rest of his life, basically, even if that means letting Nia walk freely from prison. So when the police show up to arrest Murphy, they lie and say that she and Max had just met because they don't know Max. They just ask who he is and if he's with her, and they say no, and they let him go. which is a twist because a couple minutes earlier we see Sarah Barnes talking to a computer guy who is like looking at the laptop and whatever, pings Murphy's phone and finds her cell phone about 6 miles from where they are, which I don't know how the heck Murphy got her phone back throughout all of this. It's not cleared up at all. I'm assuming someone found it on the phone, found it on the side of the road somewhere when Max threw it out the window in the parking lot or whatever. But when the police showed up, I kind of thought that they were going to be, showing up to get Max and bring him back to Chicago. Obviously not, because this is a CW show. So they arrest Jess and Murphy, and Murphy goes willingly. Jess obviously does too, even though she has no idea what the heck is going on because they don't tell her what's happening. And she wasn't in the car when they came out and said they were in possession of a stolen vehicle. So Murphy and Jess end up having a discussion in the jail cell where Jess realizes that she's been enabling her the entire time and that she needs to stop and that she's completely done. Which, yeah. I mean, no offense, but anybody with a brain can see that she, literally does everything for Murphy. She is not letting her be a strong and independent woman. If I were Jess and if I were Murphy's parents, when I found out that she was losing her vision, I would have tried to get her registered with the State Services for the Blind and have them give her proper daily living skills and proper orientation and mobility, because she has bad cane skills. She only got her guide dog because her parents own the guide dog school. She doesn't even listen to her dog at all when he tells her to not go forward or whatever. She's a terrible blind person. I'm sorry. And I understand that not everybody does things the same way. Obviously, people have certain routines and ways that they do things, and everybody has their own level of independence. But her O&M skills and her guide dog skills are crap. And because Jess and her mother keep enabling her, even though she tells them she wants to be independent, she doesn't have the skills to be independent. So it ends up blowing up in her face, and then she has to have them help her again. And I think it's good that Jess just decides to completely cut herself off. I mean, it's upsetting because they've been friends for such a long time. I think probably even shortly after, when they were younger, when they were teenagers, maybe shortly after Murphy lost her vision, because I believe a few episodes ago, Jess said they were friends for about 8 years. I don't know. I think that Jess saying that she's done and cutting herself off, that's a good thing for their relationship. We also cut to Jess and Felix in Felix's apartment. Murphy the entire time had been making fun of her and Felix's friendship, and that, thinking that they had slept together even though they obviously didn't. And that's a thing that comes up when Felix is with the financial advisor lawyer guy, because apparently other employees at Guiding Hope were talking about the situation as if Felix had sexually assaulted her, or as if he had indecently exposed himself to her, and he tries to explain what happened very, very, very poorly. And obviously the financial guy is not having any of it. It's just a complete mess. We cut to Jess and Felix. They're in Felix's apartment, and they just don't know what to do because Felix lost Guiding Hope, and Jess, is screwed, and so is Murphy, and so are Murphy's parents. And it's really not a good situation. And then we cut to Murphy, and it's her and Pretzel in her and Jess's apartment. And Murphy keeps trying to do Google searches on her phone about Nia, going about it in a very bad way. We eventually just see her crawl into Jess's bed with her clothes still on from that day, her signature red hoodie and white t-shirt with the hood up over her head. And we see her call Pretzel up onto the bed, and he snuggles up with her and they fall asleep. And the episode actually ends with Nia walking out of the prison facility as a free woman. Felix obviously also dropped the charges that he brought up against Jess and Murphy. He really just needed to get the van back because they were being uncooperative, but they're fine. They don't have anything on their records. I don't know. So yeah, this episode, it was okay. Definitely Felix is always being thrown into this show as a sort of comic relief thing. And they never brought up the whole smartwatch issue again, that he has Wesley's watch. So I don't know where the heck they're going with that. I am hoping that that's going to be resolved soon, because like we literally have 2 episodes left this season, and like I don't know what, like I don't know. Obviously somebody has framed Darnell for killing Tyson, and Wesley wasn't involved in it either, apparently, or not to the extent that the police originally thought. I think that it was all Nia, or maybe it was even the 2 kids that Jules was talking to, or one of them, because the other one said that he was good friends with Tyson and he, you know, just wants to do right by him, which is what Jules wants to do too. So I don't know. I have no idea where this show is going. This episode was not one of my favorites, only because some of the pacing in this show is just really slow and I don't find it super duper captivating. But Jess was right. She said that Murphy is an addict. She's addicted to finding Tyson's killer. And that's it. She can't stop. She's focused on that one thing, and like it's not even her alcoholism or her smoking or the fact that she sleeps with everybody. It's just like her being addicted to finding this one thing so she can get some sort of sense of closure. And I can see where Murphy's coming from, that she wants the closure. She needs it to feel whole again. But Jess is 100% right, and Jess can't be around her enabling that sort of behavior, which is why she just cuts herself off completely. And I don't know, like, I'm really interested to see what happens going forward. Again, there are only 2 episodes left this season, so I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, by the time this goes out, I will hopefully have the video reaction for episode 12 up this weekend. I will try. I'm gonna get back on track here. So, next episode. It is called Rollin' with the Homies, and it basically, the description is that it's Tyson's birthday. It's his first birthday since he passed away, obviously. Murphy is feeling very neglected, especially after her fight with Jess. The promo shows Darnell and Jules talking in prison, and that they should talk to Murphy because they are desperate, I believe, and I think Dean says that he loves her. There's a lot going on, but eventually I believe it shows Murphy and Nia talking in a very public place, it looks like. So that's not good, but we will see when the episode airs, you know, what exactly happens, because it's just this one, and then it's the one next week, and then we are done with season 1 of In the Dark. What the heck? So, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment down below. I can't tell you what to do, but I hope that you have a nice day, and I'll see you later. Bye.